If you've been cheated on before, I know how hard it can be to trust somebody again and how much it can just make you feel not good enough and really cause long-term damage. So my heart really goes out to you if you've had to experience that. I have too, and I've done the inner work to heal from that and to be able to trust my now husband. And in the beginning it was hard, so I want to tell you the things that you can do so that you can make it not so hard for yourself and heal, so that when you enter a new relationship, or if you're already in one, that you can trust them. Let me just start by saying that not all guys are cheaters. There's just a lot of losers out there, and you deserve to feel safe in your relationship. I have my notes on my iPad, so I'm gonna keep checking over here to make sure I don't miss anything. In the past, I was cheated on by 3 different guys in the wildest ways. I might honestly tell you guys some of the things they did because it was just wild. And so when I entered my relationship with my now husband, it was really hard for me, and in the beginning I really struggled, and it took a huge emotional toll on me. It was so draining because I had not healed from those past relationships, and I realized just how hard it is to get into a stable relationship after being in a toxic one. And it showed me why so many people leave from one toxic relationship to another, because it's what their body knows, what they're comfortable with, and our body actually seeks out what it's comfortable with. So if your nervous system is used to being in sympathetic mode, which is fight or flight, then that's what your body's comfortable with, and it will make that happen, whether it's sabotaging a good guy and causing fights, or only entering relationships with losers. Your body will do what it takes to stay in that mode. And so this is also why people who grew up in chaotic households, why they usually enter chaotic, toxic relationships. When I first started dating my now husband, I would cry all the time because if he didn't text back for a while, or I didn't know exactly what he was doing, I would feel so anxious, and I would feel like he was cheating on me, and I just felt crazy. I felt like I was going crazy. It was so hard, and I just felt like I could not trust him at all, but I didn't want to be overbearing and bring those past traumas into this new relationship. Then I started doing the inner work that it took, and that's what I'm going to teach you guys about today in this video. First, I want to tell you the difference between being anxious about being cheated on and knowing that you're being cheated on. So what I do to differentiate between my body being anxious from maybe past situations or my brain tricking me is I kind of try to step back into my body and think about how I'm feeling. So is it like a fast, anxious, like feeling in my chest, like, you know, when you get anxiety and you feel it in your chest? Or is it like I describe it as like a low, slow, like deep knowing in your gut, because there's a difference. And so when it's anxiety, it's in your chest, it's very loud, it's rapid, you can't think straight. But when it's in your gut, I feel like it's kind of a quiet, like, you know something's not right. Women were blessed with this beautiful intuition in our gut, so remember that. Recently, I saw a poster and it said, "Women know, period. They just know, period." And I knew exactly what it meant. As women, that's what we were blessed with. Maybe men are built stronger usually, but we were given beautiful intuition, and we need to listen to our gut feelings. So that's the difference between those two. Anxiety is trying to trick you based on past experiences, and your gut is trying to tell you it knows something. Your gut is your second brain. So like I was saying, people who have maybe been cheated on before, been in a toxic relationship before, or had a like chaotic upbringing, that's what their body's comfortable with, and the nervous system is used to being in that mode of fight or flight. Like I said, the sympathetic nervous system is stimulated, so your body's comfortable with what it knows, and it will seek that out. But you can change that. People who say a zebra can't change their stripes are actually very wrong. They must not know what neuroplasticity is. You can actually completely rewire your brain. People can change, and I used to be someone that said, yeah, people can't change, like once a cheater, always a cheater. But that is so far from the truth. You can completely rewire your brain. You can change anything about yourself, which is really, really cool. And that's actually how a lot of people become successful, is because they rewire their brain. They rebuttal everything that they ever thought they knew. Like maybe they grew up hearing making money is hard. Well, now when they start to tell themselves making money is actually very easy, like dozens of times a day, making money becomes very easy for them, and money flows in from all directions they would have never expected. So that's just an example of, maybe you've heard that before, how people will just tell themselves something and it happens. So what neuroplasticity is the ability to rewire the neurons in your head. So say you have the belief that all men are cheaters. I wanted to add in here that limiting beliefs like this are very dangerous to you, because if you've heard of confirmation bias, then you know that you will seek out what you believe. Like if you've heard there's a lot of red cars out there, you are going to start seeing so many red cars, or there's a type of car that you want to buy, and then suddenly you're seeing that car everywhere. That's an example of a few things, but like I just said, confirmation bias, where you find examples to confirm what you believe. And so what will happen is then you will actually only be finding men who are cheaters, because you believe all men are cheaters. So then you seek that out. Just like if you say all guys are short, you're only going to be finding guys that are short. That's how that works. So you have to be very careful what limiting beliefs you have. So you have that neural connection, and so if you want to rewire it, then you need to make a new connection. So what you can do is say every time you think all men are cheaters, you need to stop yourself and almost like argue with yourself, give yourself a rebuttal, be like, no, all men are not cheaters. There's good guys out there. And tell yourself that over and over again, and then a new neural connection will be formed, and you just rewired your brain from that belief. Or an example that I have in my notes is, say you have the thought that your boyfriend hasn't texted you back in a while, and you jump to the conclusion that he's cheating on you. Maybe you could ask yourself, what evidence do I have that he's cheating on me? I have no reason to think this. He loves me. He's not a good guy. He's not cheating on me. He probably just isn't using his phone right now. So giving yourself that rebuttal every time, and then eventually you'll stop getting those thoughts of thinking that they're cheating on you. When you rewire that and remind yourself that you're safe, eventually those thoughts will stop coming. You have to constantly provide yourself with these rebuttals, and the neural connection will be rewired, and your brain won't automatically jump to the conclusion that they're cheating. Like I said, your thoughts cannot always be trusted. They're not always yours. Like I said, sometimes it's your body trying to actually sabotage you and get you in a mode of fight or flight. If you're not in the mode of being stressed, anxious, survival mode, if that's what your body is used to, like I said, from either your upbringing, past relationship, whatever trauma it may be, your brain is going to try really hard to get you back to that state, even if it means kind of lying to you, coming up with these crazy ideas that like they're cheating on you. Like I said, it's trying to sabotage you to get you back into that mode of survival. And also it could be the enemy, which if you're religious, then like I am, then you might know how the devil tries to attack people. Let's see. Okay, I hesitated putting this part in here. I hate to mention it, but I am gonna say it. Being on hormonal birth control does alter the ability for you to have that gut feeling. Being on hormonal birth control kind of cuts off your uterus from the rest of your body. And you can read studies on this if this is the first time you're hearing about this, because if this is the first time, you might be a little confused. There's really interesting studies on this. But for example, one of the things that like changes being on hormonal birth control is we actually have the ability to like sniff out our partner via their DNA to know if we're compatible with them or not, and that determines who we're attracted to. So if you're on birth control and that mechanism is blocked, a lot of people actually find that getting off of birth control, they're not attracted to their partner anymore. So I wouldn't suggest getting into like a marriage or like a long-term commitment with somebody if you've been on birth control with them the whole time. And another thing also on that note, and I mentioned, I want to say this really quick. I mentioned the ability to like have that gut feeling is cut off when you're on birth control because that connection really isn't there anymore. So that's part of it. But anyway, what I was gonna say is I also hesitated putting this in here, But if you sleep with your partner like premaritally, that really confuses your body, because whether you're pregnant or not, your body, your brain is going to kind of like look past all the red flags, just have those rosy colored glasses on, and they're going to do everything. When I say they, like, I'm talking about your brain, your body, you know what I'm trying to say. Your brain is going to do everything to convince you that you need to stay with him for the survival of your child, whether you're pregnant or not. If you've slept with them, because of you know, our biological wiring from thousands of years ago, hundreds of years ago, your body is going to think that it needs to stay with that partner because you slept with them, and now you could be carrying their child, and so for their child's survival you have to stay with them. So that's why, if you've heard before people say how it confuses your brain when you sleep with someone, that's why, because then people can't really differentiate if they really love that person and want to be with them, or if it's because they slept with them. And that's kind of that confusion between lust and love. So now that my frontal lobe is more developed and I've done a lot more research, like, that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more that can go into it. I've learned that not sleeping with someone before marriage is actually really to protect you and to help you find your perfect partner and not confuse you. Okay, moving on. This is one of my favorite drinks. I'm in my second trimester of pregnancy. If you've been pregnant before, you know the first trimester, it's so hard to drink water. So I've been trying to drink anything but water, like otherwise I will not drink any fluids. So this is, I just sipped green tea and then let it cool off, poured it over ice, squeezed in maybe like a quarter of a lemon, and then added some honey, and you can do a little bit of sugar if you don't want to do honey. So yummy. Okay. The next point, you need to have your own hobbies so that you're using your creative energy towards something that will fill you up and keep you busy, rather than constantly worrying about your man. When you're being needy and demanding lots of attention, he can sense that, and that's actually a huge turn off for him, because men are biologically wired to do the chasing. So when you're pursuing them, you're like, you know, like leaning forward, you're pursuing them, you're chasing them, that's actually a turn off, and they're going to do less and less, and they are not going to be attracted to that. Like, if you've heard the saying that maybe not really a saying, but the belief that if a girl is easy, a guy is not going to want to be with her anymore, there's a lot of truth to that, because men are wired to like the hunt. And when I say hunt, I mean pursuing a woman, a partner. This goes back to how we were wired like thousands of years ago. Men were designed that way. And so when a woman's really easy, or maybe sleeps with her right away, or sleeps with him right away, that is a huge turn off for a man, because that was just too easy. So men who are in their healthy masculine energy, they want to pursue you. But if you have an anxious attachment to him, you're always pursuing him, texting him, planning dates, calling him, giving him gifts, asking what he's doing, asking to hang out, basically being in your masculine energy and not being the feminine energy in the relationship, then he's most likely going to, like I said, do less and less and put in less effort, and then shift into his feminine energy, where he's the one being pursued and you're the one chasing. So you don't want to be the one leading the relationship. You want to be the one that's being pursued. You don't want to be the passive one. You want to be the passive one. You don't want your man to be the passive one. I mean, I feel like I've heard, I don't know, hundreds of girls, women say how they feel like their partner's not putting in enough effort and he's just not doing enough. And a lot of times it's because the females are kind of doing what they want done for them. They're giving their man gifts. They're planning dates for him. But that's just throwing him in his feminine energy and you in your masculine. He's supposed to be the planner, the pursuer, the, what's another word? Like, what's the opposite of passive? I don't know, the leader of the relationship. And it doesn't feel good for either of you when you kind of shift into the other person's role, or like I said, their energy. It doesn't feel good for you. I've heard so many women say that they feel like they're doing way more in the relationship and they don't like it. Okay. And men feel good being the providers, chasing you, doing that, it feels good for them. Whether they consciously realize it or not, they're wired that way for it to be very satisfying for them. Okay, but if you're like, okay, especially what I was saying, if you're having hobbies, if you're pouring into yourself, then it stops you from pouring everything you have into him, and then, like I said, really turning him off. And not only that, but putting your happiness on him, because people are not perfect. People do make mistakes, and some partners will cheat, but you cannot let that destroy you. You cannot put your whole happiness, every like fiber of your being, into your partner, because if they let you down and they do cheat, then you're going to be destroyed and you're going to have nothing left of yourself. And that's not what you want. Especially if you're not married, you definitely don't want to be pouring everything into them, like being a wifey as a girlfriend. Definitely don't recommend that. That just does not feel as good, and then when you get married, it won't be as special. So definitely make sure that you're putting energy into yourself, your hobbies. Maybe you want to start your own business, pouring your creative energy into something so that you're not constantly pouring it into your man and then having that anxious attachment, which you likely stems from past relationships where you were cheated on, because you were cheated on with them. So now you're trying to constantly know what your partner's doing, constantly check up on them, constantly hear back from them, and you have that anxious attachment. You need to have hobbies or something else, so not only to distract you, but so that you have something of your own, and so that if you were to be cheated on, you would not be crushed. You still have yourself, your business, your hobbies, whatever it is. Okay, I kind of started to say this, but the next point of how you can ease the anxiety of being cheated on is, like I said, knowing that regardless of what happens, you will be okay. Humans are not always perfect. They do make mistakes, and some people do cheat. And you just have to know that no matter what happens, you will be okay. And you have to have boundaries set beforehand, that you know if they cheat, it's over. They know that, you know that, you're on the same page, so that when it happens, you don't end up staying with them like I did with one of the guys that kept cheating on me over and over again, because they're just going to keep cheating on you. So you're just wasting your own time and energy. So you need to know when that boundary's been crossed, and when you're done, you're done. You can only control yourself. You cannot control your partner. You cannot control whether or not they're going to cheat. You can't. And it's just going to waste so much of your energy if you're constantly trying to control them and trying to stop them from cheating, like having that anxious attachment, like I said, always knowing what they're doing. Or I've seen relationships where they're not even married and they're tracking each other on Life 360 or whatever it is, and I don't think that's healthy. I don't. People are going to do what they're going to do, and you cannot control anybody else's actions or their emotions. You're only in charge of yourself. Don't put the burden on yourself by trying to control anybody else. You need to know that if you were to be cheated on, you will be okay. You will be able to move on, and God is someone better for you out there. If this person cheated on you, then they're not your perfect match, and there is somebody better for you that will make you a lot happier. You can only count on yourself and God. You have to be able to trust yourself enough to know that you'll be able to pick yourself up if something happens, and you will be able to move on with your life. That will take away a lot of the anxiety if you can get to a place where you trust yourself and you know that no matter what happens, it will be okay. If my husband were to cheat on me, it would be horrible, but I would be okay. Everything would be okay. My life would not be over. And like, once I accepted that, I had a lot less anxiety about him doing it. If they do cheat on you, that's their loss. There's something better for you out there. One door closes, an even better one opens. And the next point is that you want to enter a relationship with your guard down, with a fresh slate, with full trust in them. And I understand that's very hard to enter a relationship after being cheated on and just blindly trust them. I understand. Sorry. My throat's getting scratchy from talking. I understand how hard that can be. But you have to know that they are not your ex. They are a brand new person. And if you do enter the relationship with your guard up and not trusting them, that is going to drain your energy, and you're not going to be able to enjoy the relationship. And you might end up sabotaging it and like making them cheat or thinking that they cheated and then breaking up with them over nothing. And this can be hard, especially if you were cheated on in like bizarre ways. Like, I guess I'll tell you guys some of the ways. Like, for example, one guy, this is just one time of many, he said he was going to get gas. And he slept with someone. Like, that's insane. I mean, I don't even know, less than an hour passed. I don't know exactly how much time, maybe half an hour. And it's like, they said they were getting gas. So when I enter this new relationship, I'm like, okay, if a guy can really be that good at cheating and that sneaky, and he says he's going to get gas and he's sleeping with someone else, then like, what hope do I have with any guy? Like, how do I know that my husband, or my boy, my husband, now husband, boyfriend at the time, isn't doing that? This other guy that I was dating, he had this whole bizarre story, and looking back, I think he was a pathological liar, and I actually have no idea how much of what he said was true and what was lies. I have no idea, but he supposedly had this dead friend, this best friend who passed away, very close family friend, best friend, and this best friend had this truck, this nice $50,000 truck that he gave to him, or I think the parents gave it to him after he passed because they were such good friends, and this guy did love the truck so much, something like that. And my boyfriend at the time was always going to the shop somewhere. I don't know really. He had all the details, of course. I don't really remember the details now, but a shop where the truck was, where he was doing all these upgrades on the truck. He was working so hard, and he was so excited to surprise me with what it's gonna look like when it's done. And he would like send me pictures of the parts and all these upgrades and tell me what he's doing and the progress, and even text me while he was doing it. And like, it was so sweet and so nice and seemed so genuine and all of that. There was no truck. There was never a truck. Oh my gosh. I don't know if there was a dead friend or not. I have no idea. But that's insane. Like, the details this man had about this damn truck and all of that, that's insane. He was not only cheating on me with one other girl, but 3 other girls. Like, what the heck? That's insane. And I don't even think about it anymore, but honestly, I think there was probably a lot of things that he was not doing, that was not going on. Maybe he lied about jobs. I don't even know, because I don't know how he made the time to entertain 3 other girls. So there was definitely a lot more lies than I knew about. And the worst part is these girls lived far away. Like, I mean, not super far, but at least 40 minutes, maybe like hour and a half, 2 hours. So I'm like, how did he have time? Like, did he ever sleep? Was he up all night? I don't know. So I could go on. I feel like I have so many stories of, and that's just what I know, but I have so many stories of what I know. I'm sure there's so much I don't know. But another guy was like living with his best friend. This one I should have known. The other guys were very, very sneaky, and this other guy was sneaky at times, but this was me having rosy colored glasses on, Love is Blind, looking past all the red flags, because he was like living with his best friend. They were just friends. They were living together. Come on. So that was me being young, dumb, frontal lobe not developed, and looking past the red flags, because that one I should have known. He was not living with his best friend. That was his girl. And it's crazy because I had known that guy for years and years and years. And yeah. But anyway, that one I should have known. But the other example is, what else? I don't even know. One guy invited one of the boyfriend, and this was the relationship that like haunted me the most and took the longest to recover from. That the one who also was the getting gas story, that was him. Another example was, I think it was Valentine's Day. He had like said he'd planned something special for me, and turns out he did the same thing with like 2 other girls. Like, oh my gosh. And I can laugh about it now, but I'm like, what is wrong with these losers? But anyway, my point is that it's really scary how sneaky some guys can be. Like, just what they can pull off, the lies they can tell, it's like they're bending time. How did they have all this time? That is really scary, to enter a new relationship and just trust him, especially if they're not texting back for a while, or they do something that might trigger you, like go get gas, or I don't know, would maybe tell you the same story as another ex told you that turned out to be a lie. And that can be triggering and that can be scary, but like I said, you have to rewire those neural connections, and you have to argue with yourself, give yourself a rebuttal counter argument each time. So you say, he's just getting gas, he's not cheating on me, he's just getting gas, he's not using his phone right now, or he hasn't texted me back in a few hours, he's probably busy living in the real world, not like on his phone. So you just have to give yourself those rebuttals over and over again. So he's a good guy, he's not cheating on me. And you have to notice if it's like I said, anxiety in your chest, or if it's like a, gut feeling. And something that I do now with like anxiety overall, but what you can also do if you're feeling the cheating anxiety is put your hand on your heart. When you're feeling anxious, put your hand on your heart and say something along the lines of, body, thank you so much for worrying about me. Thank you for being concerned, but we are okay. There is nothing to worry about. We are safe. Everything is okay. And I'll do that all the time when I'm feeling anxious. Even if there's people around, I'll kind of just like discreetly do it. And it really helps. So that's something that you can do when you're feeling anxious, that one of these men might be cheating on you. And something that really helps, honestly, is just time. Like I said, I think you should go into the relationship with an open mind, with your guard down, with full trust in them. And over time, they're going to prove to you that they're not a cheater. And over time, you'll trust them even more. My last point is to know your boundaries and when it's time to walk away from a relationship, which I kind of mentioned this earlier in the video. But make this clear to yourself and your partner so that you don't end up being that girl that stays with this guy who keeps cheating on her again and again and again, like I did with the getting gas boyfriend. Some women may not be okay with their boyfriends being with other women, period, or being friends with other women, period. So if that's a boundary you have, then you need to know that, and your partner needs to know that, and know what will happen if that boundary is crossed. The relationship will be over. I know when you're in a relationship, it's easy to look past those red flags and to come up with excuses for them, but that's why you need to have these boundaries set up ahead of time so that when it happens, you know you're done. You made that promise to you, you're gonna follow through with it. And lastly, love yourself enough to leave if your partner crosses the line. God has someone better for you. There's 8 billion people on this planet, so roughly 4 billion men. There is somebody else for you. There's a whole world, a whole country. Even the whole country is a lot, but there's even a whole world of guys out there, and they're not all cheaters. There are a lot of very loyal guys out there. And something I do want to mention is pay attention to where you're meeting these guys, because if you keep meeting cheaters, but like you met them on Tinder or at the bar, maybe you shouldn't be dating guys from Tinder or the bar. And there are definitely good guys that use Tinder or use the bar, but I feel like it's probably few and far between. There's probably only a few diamonds in the rough. Or if you're meeting these guys, I don't know, at parties, like maybe you should look at coffee shops or libraries or wholesome events rather than these places where not the best guys are usually hanging out. Okay, so to summarize, know the difference between anxiety and a gut feeling. Know when it's in your chest, your body trying to trick you, the enemy trying to trick you, or it's a gut feeling that you just know. have you ever heard the saying, women just know? Women do know. Your brain can be completely rewired. You can change everything about yourself by that repetition, by new experiences, by reminding yourself what you want to believe. People have, like, this is more so like the brain and the body versus the brain, the brain. Does that make sense? Let me just tell you what I mean. People have cured their own cancer by telling themselves they don't have cancer. People have lost weight by telling themselves they're skinny and not changing anything about their diet or going to the gym. Your brain is extremely powerful. So you can tell yourself things and your brain will believe them. So that's kind of different than what I was saying earlier, but that's just something that you should know. But like I said, just keep telling your brain, like, no, they're not cheating on me. He's a good guy. He's just simply getting gas. Like I said, it's done by giving yourself constant reminders of what you want to believe and experiences, and those will become ingrained into your subconscious. Have something for yourself that you're pouring into. Don't give everything to a man, especially one that you're not married to, because for two different reasons, like I said, you're going to be pursuing him, have that anxious attachment style, and you're going to be pushing him away, and he's going to be doing less and less. And I'm not saying you're going to push him into cheating, but if you're constantly asking him if he's cheating, it could potentially push him into cheating. So you do not want to be doing that. And then also the other reason is because you need to have things for yourself. So if he were to cheat on you, you would be okay. You would be able to pick yourself up, move on, know there's something better for you, and everything would be okay. You're not giving your every single ounce of your being to somebody, especially if you're not married. Let go of control. Know that regardless of what happens, like I was just saying, you'll be okay. Love yourself enough and have faith in yourself to believe that you will be all right no matter what happens to you. Next is go into a relationship with trust. Do not bring your past relationships into the present. This is a brand new person. They are not your ex. They are a new person. It's a new relationship, fresh slate, starting clean. And know your boundaries and when it's time to end the relationship, and make sure your partner knows them as well. Something that I completely forgot to touch on is that when you're cheated on, sometimes you feel like you're the problem, you feel like you're not good enough. So you definitely have to do some inner work around that and remind yourself that you are not the problem and that it was them. They maybe didn't heal from their childhood, or for whatever reason, they don't feel good about themselves and they have issues, so they cheated on you. You are not the problem. If somebody is cheating, they have issues with themselves. It is not you. So you have to remind yourself over and over that you are good enough and there's nothing wrong with you. Your partner was the problem, and try to do things to show yourself that you are worthy and you are lovable. Like take care of yourself, groom yourself, all those things that make you feel good, to prove to yourself that you are worthy, you are enough, and they were the problem for cheating on you. So that's everything. I hope I'm not forgetting things that I've done. But like I said, the biggest thing is just rewiring your brain, constantly reminding yourself when you're feeling that anxiety, they're not texting back because they're busy. They love me. They would never cheat on me. They're a good guy. They're not a cheater. They're not my ex. This is a new relationship. Whatever you need to remind yourself, just do it again and again and again. And eventually you'll rewire your brain. You'll have new neural connections and you will no longer feel that anxiety. And it takes longer for some people than others. Some people may be able to do it very quickly, or some people may take longer. And so just try to be patient, try to stick it out. Do not break up with a man because he's a good guy. A lot of people sabotage their relationships with good guys because they were with losers before. And I had dated or talked to a lot of losers, and there's a couple good ones mixed, sprinkled in there, but I was like grossed out. I was like, I get the ick by them because they were too nice. They seemed too good. It didn't seem exciting for me. It wasn't toxic enough for me. Like my nervous system wanted more. It wanted the toxicity. And that was hard. Then I sabotaged those relationships. I was like, oh, like I was not attracted to them. But when I started dating my now husband, I felt the same way, but I was kind of like, okay, let me just go on one more date with him. Let me just stick it out. Yeah, he's a really nice guy, and it's kind of a turn off. It's kind of giving me the ick, but let me just stick it out. So sometimes you have to stick it out. It's hard when you meet a nice guy, even with losers before that, because you're automatically gonna be like, yeah, they're too nice, this relationship's too boring. Well, that's your disrupted nervous system and your traumatized self-talking. Don't sabotage your relationship with a good guy. Good guys for the win. And I think that's everything I wanted to say. So good luck. I hope that this helps you. I hope that you heal soon and you enjoy your new healthy relationship. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.